Okay, so Wave recently announced that they are no longer going to let old plans that were grandfathered in, they're not going to let them have the free bank sync anymore. And so now I've seen a lot of people asking or wondering, should I stay with Wave? Should I get some other software? And in the community I'm in, somebody asked some questions about it because I recommended like if you're going to pay for Wave, you might as well pay for another software like Xero, and I'm just going to make this video to answer their questions. Okay, so their first question was, what can you detail why Xero is better than Wave? It's possible I could always connect Stripe, but we just never figured it out when I started like 12 years ago. So I add 3 transactions per invoice, which I don't do a high volume, so that has been fine. And then like part 2 is, what would be the benefit of connecting Harvest? They use that for invoicing since the invoices would be in Stripe anyway. Uh, I'm going to talk through this, like what I'm thinking about. So first of all, Xero, or if you're using a different software made for bookkeeping, it's been around a while. Pricing is more or less consistent. They do have more integration. So for example, if you use Stripe, you can connect Stripe to Xero. There is a limitation. You can only do one Stripe connection, but if you only have one Stripe, then that's not an issue. And what's nice about that is that you can just automatically import what's going on in Stripe into Xero, so it's all in one place when you need to, like, at the end of the year send stuff or to make reports for taxes. So it's all in one place. You're not having to chase it down. You'll have the fees recorded plus your income. And then the other part of their question, so why would you connect Harvest? So this is where we're going to get really into more bookkeeping. So I'm trying to keep it like why this matters for you. So you can leave your invoices in Harvest, but and this depends without seeing how they're invoicing, but Stripe is more on the, you want to make sure you record the fees from Stripe and make sure all your deposits made it over. And this goes into what's called reconciling. So that's why that's beneficial. But for the invoicing side, that's if you are invoicing and then waiting 30 days or more to get paid, you do want that record. Again, this gets more into bookkeeping, but like a record in your books of what you're waiting on, the payments you're waiting on. And so I'm just going to leave that there, but that's the main thing. If you want your bookkeeping software to be your one place, the one place you go to check what's going on in your business and your money system, then that's why you would want to have the invoices in Xero, for example. But let's see. And then their next question was, someone was saying something about Xero and FreshBooks being double sumped. Sorry, I promise I was listening, but also finance stuff cooks my brain in a very unique way, lol, which is better. Okay, I know what they're talking about here. So it's called double entry accounting. And that's why I keep saying bookkeeping software. So personal finance software is not typically, the ones I've seen, not double entry accounting. So you want a software that is double entry accounting because for your business, you need reports that are based on double entry accounting. And usually those are the only softwares that will give you a profit and loss, which you need for filing taxes. If you ever become like a S corp later, or even whenever, if you need a balance sheet, like your bank asks for it, or you're getting a loan or something and you need a balance sheet, then that your bookkeeping software can create those too. And so that's why I always recommend, again, bookkeeping specific software, because maybe right now you only need the profit and loss, but the other reports are there in case you need them for an accountant or some other finance person, or even just for you if you get more into your finances and looking into what's going on with your numbers. It's there. You don't have to create it in Excel because that can be a pain, especially if you have not learned double entry accounting. It's a lot harder to do it manually. Okay, so now the last question. Also, we're maybe looking at having someone prepare our taxes next year. My husband manages a rental, and after he did our taxes this year, he swore we're going to hire someone. So does that affect what I move forward with? Yes, and the main reason here is an accountant is going to want to be able to get your reports, again, in a standard format, so profit and loss, If you've got rentals, they're probably going to want to look at your balance sheet too. Or my, and this depends again on how your rentals are set up. Are there a lot of like assets or capital improvements? Then those would show up on the balance sheet typically if you have it set up correctly. At the very least, they're going to want a profit and loss for each rental, most likely. Again, yes, you can have those records somewhere else, but it's really nice if you can centralize it in your bookkeeping software because you use that money system to make things easier. So that's one reason, yes, you would want a software that's bookkeeping specific. And number two, it does affect what you move forward with because those softwares will also have something called accountant access. And that's how I'm able to do the books for my clients. That's how tax pros will generally get the reports they need because they need a whole list, and it's just easier for them to get it themselves than to ask for it. Or if you have a bookkeeper who sends it to them, because I do that also for some clients. So yes, it does affect what you move forward with. You want something that will give reports easily, and you can make sure everything on the report shows up in the right category buckets. So yes, that, and again, I say Xero because it's like the version of QuickBooks outside the U.S. and so it's bigger there. It's been around a while. Again, it's well known. FreshBooks, you can do that too. It has its own quirks, so you definitely want to look into that first. And I don't believe they're good outside of basic service-based businesses. So if you've got rentals or inventory, I wouldn't recommend FreshBooks. So yeah, if you're looking for something that can handle different scenarios, Xero's kind of it. And then any other software you just want to look into because some are better for certain types of businesses than others. So like I said, Xero is pretty good in general. So yeah, so that's all the questions that I wanted to answer there. And I think I said everything I wanted to say and just get across. But basically, it comes down to when you're trying to decide, it comes down to, are you trying to keep costs low? So are you willing to invest your time into doing things manually? Because then you could stay on Wave and just not have your bank account sync and stay on the free plan. But if you are looking for more convenience, more integration, just more features, and you're going to pay for something, I would look at other softwares and not Wave because for what you're going to get for Wave, you could pay a little bit more and get more elsewhere. Yeah. But that's it. Hopefully that's helpful.